We can't seem to find this civilization. It's a total scam. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. These manuscripts are a forgery to prove that the Prophet Muhammad lived in that region and that he came from there. There is no evidence that a Muhammad existed in that region. There is no evidence whatsoever.
Welcome back, David. People are curious as to how the exploration may continue, just as I am as well. And I'm sure everyone who's been listening to you so far knows that every time you present something new and unexpected. So we're looking forward to it, David. Welcome.
Okay, first thing is there's a video out. What's it called, that video?
Jesus Spoke Arabic by Mind Unveiled.
Yes, that video. That video is a documentary. It's a great documentary. It goes through certain things in my books. The thing is, a documentary is different between an interview. A documentary is where somebody does a documentary and does analysis on your work, and it's one person who's speaking. They've prepared it. Now, when we're talking, we're having a conversation, man. Yes. So it's
Hopefully,
like
yes.
yes, that's what we're doing. We're talking about this history, and in the back of my head, I'm going through questions that I get several hundred questions every month on Facebook. Ugh, it's a nightmare. Yes. So the thing is, we go through certain points, this, that, and I'm trying to explain it. It's like if there's one question and it's asked by about 10, 20 different people, I've noticed how these people talk to me. So I try to reply in their language. So I'm not
All
a
right.
preacher trying to show history so that people from somebody age 30 can understand it, or somebody age 50, or somebody who's in Germany from their background so that they can understand it compared to somebody who's, let's say, in California. So there's a big difference if somebody's saying, hey, the way he's presented it, your work, David, compared to how you portray it. No, history is history. And I send in my books, what I do is when I know something and I think the websites have got information, I put it in my book so that people, instead of looking at references on the end, they can just go through it. Yes.
Yes.
So yeah. So what we did was we showed I asked you a question before, and I showed you that if um, if um, if this place was attacked, yes, or destroyed, would it cause a world war? And you wasn't sure last time, but last time, because I didn't want to divert, I didn't comment on it. But the Muslim city of Mecca, as far as I can think of, I do not think if there is an attack anywhere else in the world, if a place is destroyed, that it could cause a world war. Yes, even a war with China or even World War II was not exactly like what we're talking about, the reset that happened 200 or 300 years ago. So now, from the thing is, from what Professor Fomenko has shown, yes, he's shown that Islam is the Prophet Muhammad, lived in Eurasia. Yes, and he's shown duplicates of the Prophet Muhammad in Russia and even in Europe. Yes, where they've invented duplicate stories. Yes. So now a big question is, yes, that video, Jesus Christ spoke Arabic and he lived in Europe. Well, what about this Prophet Muhammad? Was he really from Arabia? Now, let me just show a map of Arabia. Yes, Arabia is basically the Arabian Peninsula, where Mecca is centered, is basically, what do you call it? Yes, the region of Muhammad is basically, the Hejaz area where Mecca is. Yes, it's basically from Yemen going all the way to Israel, basically Jordan, Transjordan. Yes, what they call Israel, Palestine, Jordan, Western Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. And then there's the empty quarter, because some people will say, what does he mean that it was half empty? They call it the empty quarter themselves. Yes, academics, empty quarter, that's what they call it. Yes, and you can find maps of it. Just type in empty quarter. Yes, and you'll find that what do you call it? Half of Saudi Arabia, they call it the empty quarter. Yes, it's like now it's probably less because there's oil installations and oil towns and things like this. Yes, but this is the what do you call it? The empty quarter. Yes, it's eastern Saudi Arabia. So we're talking the mountain range that cuts through the alleged Petra. Yes, the bogus Petra of this Danny Gibson talks about and Sam Garans talks about. Yes, and then there's Yemen. So this is the region that they say the Prophet Muhammad and his original followers in the first century came from, Western Saudi Arabia. In fact, let me cut out the map because there is going to be people there. Of course, I call them dummies and idiots because they're just going to distract people from trying to understand history. But basically, the evidence shows the Quran and Arabic did not come from Arabia, did not come from the Middle East. Yes, and I didn't want to go through this, but because I've had enough of these pathetic idiots and especially these so-called Quranists or Islamists who are saying, hey, we know what the Quran says. And there's many people who are making videos, we know the meanings, all the dictionaries. Well, I'm going to show to you now that, what do you call it? Arabia basically was an even Muslim 200 years ago. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
If you basically, when I'm saying basic, I didn't say all of it. Yes. So now the thing is, if it wasn't even Muslim and they didn't know the Arabic language either, it means the Quran didn't come from there, and the Prophet Muhammad did not come from that region of Jordan, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, or anything of the sort. Yes, it's just a pathetic scam. Yes, they invented this scam. Yes, for their own reasons. Yes.